At ease, brothers. I mean, I want to talk about. I want to talk about why I believe most men don't move forward with the visions or the ideas in their minds. Right? I don't think that. I don't think that for the most part, man, it's because men don't want to move forward. Of course, there are a group of people, man, that have ideas, man, that compose some sort of vision and are just too lazy to move in it, right? That represents a small group of men. But most men you encounter that have ideas, like deep down, they want to accomplish that mission. Deep down, they want to take the journey on that path to get to that destination, man. Most men do. But what I believe is the reason that most men don't is because most men fail to plan. And when I say fail to plan, man, it's not that they fail to, take their ideas and put them inside of a journal. It's not that they fail to take their plans and put them in some kind of app or try to put some kind of, business plan on paper. I don't think it's that, man. I think the reason is because men fail to understand that planning is a spiritual process first. Planning is a spiritual process first. Like there's a reason why, the brothers in the power circle, man, are just quantum leaping left and right. There's a reason why my brother Lone Star just came out of nowhere, it seems, in the music industry, man, and won a Grammy. It seems weird when partners like my brother DeMarcus Taylor, his whole story is crazy, man. Back from when he was a youngster and going through his struggles, man, and being a star athlete and going the wrong direction, making some mistakes and putting himself in a career. And over the last year and a half, 2 years, this brother's life has just quantum leaped to now he's becoming one of the industry leaders of what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why my brother Cam down in Houston is one of the go-tos in the oil and gas industry. There's a reason why my brother Shake came this close to winning his first NBA championship, man, but will one day, I'm sure, be a household name in that arena. There's a reason why my brother Bryce, his business is scaling to where his clientele is becoming the top athletes around the world, man. It's because these brothers understand that planning is a spiritual process before it is a physical process. And of course, this is power circle talk, man. So I'm gonna tiptoe around this conversation. This is not a conversation you can really have with everybody, but I did put a lot of this information in a singular truth, right? So when I say that planning is a spiritual process before it is a physical process, what I'm really saying is before you go there, you have to first be there. I'm gonna say it again, man. Before you go to this destination, before you realize this world you're trying to achieve, this new career, this relationship, this financial goal, before you go there, you have to first be there. What say you, soul? What are you talking about, brother? Well, I'll go back to a singular truth, man. In a singular truth, I gave an example. I gave a scenario, man. I said there's a brother, man. He's married. He's got a couple of kids, but he's living in a small apartment. He wants more square footage, man, so his family can grow. He wants his kids to grow up in a safer neighborhood. He wants them to have a nice playground to play on. But the scenario he finds himself in is on the complete opposite end of what he's designed. So as opposed to this man getting down a sheet of paper, man, and writing down a business plan or just a plan on how he's going to accomplish that mission, he must first go there before he's going to be there. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, let me say this first. The goal you're trying to achieve, if you knew how to accomplish it, if you knew the exact step on how to accomplish it, you would have already accomplished it. You would have already done it because it would have been a part of your truth. The fact that you desire it, but you don't know how to get there is saying, hey, you know what? It's a truth that I need to discover. So what I said in the same scenario in a singular truth, if you haven't got the book, get the book. But I said, this brother goes to work every single day, man. He comes home still desiring a new outcome. I want a better home. I want a better scenario for my family. I said, but one day this man does this. I said, one day instead of him getting off work and taking the same route to the house that he always takes, I said, this man takes the scenic route. He takes the route around town, man, where when he has the opportunity to take his wife out to dinner, man, he to the nice side of town, to the other side of the tracks. I said, instead of this man beelining home, man, he takes the scenic route. I said, man, he gets on the nice side of town, man. He can look over the brick walls and see the rooftops of all the nice houses, the 2-story homes he dreams about. I said, instead of going straight, man, that brother turns up in there, man, and explores it. Instead of cutting up the trap music, man, trying to find the vibe, he cuts the music completely off and lets the windows down. I said, what that man does is he feels the vibe. He smells the grass being cut. He hears the birds chirping. He's listening to the neighbors talking. He's smelling the atmosphere. He's feeling that vibe, man. And what that man is doing is capturing it. I said, what that man does then is, I said, he pulls inside of a home that's for sale, man, and he peeks inside of the window, And when he's peeking in, man, what he's doing is capturing the frequency of this home. He's looking at the walls, man. He's looking at the cabinets. He's looking at the floors, stuff he's never really seen before, man. And he's capturing that essence. I said, then what that man does is he goes home at night. Wife has dinner. He eats dinner, man. He kisses the wife. He talks to the kids. Everybody goes to sleep. I said, what he does then, man, is go into that sacred space. He goes into that silence. And that house he went into earlier, that neighborhood he cruised through earlier, now he's in that place. Now he's experiencing that place. Now he's living in that home. And I'm not just talking about just as an observer as he did earlier. He's doing it as a person that's owning that moment. He's living in that moment now. He's capturing that frequency. So when I say before you go there, you have to be there, your planning starts in the spiritual world, man. Because again, you don't know how to get there. You know what I'm saying? And long story short, man, without going through the whole nuts and bolts of it, man, it's just a matter of you bringing that frequency out of that world and implementing that frequency or bringing that frequency into this world. When your Bible talks about bringing your heaven up on earth, that's what it's talking about. When your Jesus says, I go to prepare a place for you, it's talking about your higher self going to that spiritual world first. You know what I'm saying? So again, the reason why a lot of men aren't accomplishing their goals, it's not that they're sorry. It ain't that they're lazy. It ain't that they don't have ambition. It's that they don't understand that the creation process, the planning process starts in the spiritual world first. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not telling you something I read from Neville Goddard. I'm telling you something that I've read from a number of scholars, man, that I've implemented in my life over the last 10, 15, whatever years. And it's to the point now, man, where I don't even know how to live outside of this way of living. I don't even know how to live outside of moving like this. If I desire a thing, man, if I desire a certain type relationship, a certain type person, a type financial goal, a certain type frequency, a certain type home, I understand that I have to go to that spiritual world first. I'm not sure if I shared this story with y'all, man. I know I shared with my brothers in the circle. I remember, man, when I lost my job. I don't know what year it was. I done lost so many jobs, seemed like, man. But I was dating this sister that lived in Grand Prairie, in Dallas, right? South, the southern part of Dallas. And I was going to visit her, man. I just got laid off. I'm going to visit her, and I see this big warehouse, man. This big. And it's the company Cummins Diesel, right? And man, I was a fan of Cummins, bro. Like, I loved Cummins. I had a Cummins diesel truck, man. And I was just saying, bro, like, that would be the perfect job. And I would love to work right there, bro. Right there in that building. And as soon as I got to her house, man, I fired my laptop up and I'm looking at jobs, and they happen to have a job at that location. Territory sales, man. And long story short, man, I didn't have any sales experience. Very little. Not enough, not even enough to even scratch the surface of getting on that job. But I applied anyway, man. But I'm going to tell you what I did. What I did was every weekend I went to Dallas, man. I would go to this building, this huge warehouse / office building, man. And when the parking lot was empty, I would go through and just walk around the parking lot, drive around the parking lot, feel that frequency, man. Peeking those windows, man. Look at those offices. I'm looking at the break room. I'm looking at the main entrance. I'm looking at the coffee makers and the fax machines. Like, damn, that's a vibe, man. And I captured that frequency. I took that frequency back to my house. I took it back to my inner world, and I lived there. And I owned it. Wasn't qualified for it. Owned it. Long story short, man, when I got that job, man, I was riding in Dallas one day with my manager, man, Jack Wiley, one of the best men I've ever known in my life. And we're going over that tall bridge right there in Dallas on 635, man, right there, 635 and 20 or somewhere, right? And out of the blue, Jack said, I've been in the company 2 years, man. At that point, Jack said, you know what? He said, out of all the people we interviewed, you were the least qualified. Like you had guys there, man, that had some big college names behind them. You had some guys that had all these sales experience. He said, but for some reason, everybody on the board chose you. And he said it almost like he was saying, it was almost like Jack was saying, I've been pondering on this for 2 years. Like how did that happen? And I'm telling you, man, and I hate saying this kind of stuff, this reality that we live in, you watching this video right now, this reality we're experiencing this in, it ain't what you think it is, brother. It's actually a replay of whatever I say is going on in my inner world. I know y'all have watched the recipe. I'll leave a link in the description, man, for the recipe and a singular truth. You got to understand, this world is simply a replay of whatever I say it is. That's why I'm always telling brother, man, I said the first thing you need to understand as a man that's seeking understanding is to understand that the main thing that's going to separate you from other men on this planet is understanding that this world is responding to you as opposed to you thinking it's responding as opposed. This world is responding to us as opposed to us thinking we're responding to it, right? In other words, when 97% of the population wake up, they're cutting on the news, they're reading the paper, they're listening to the gossip on social media, and they're deciding on how they should conduct themselves. If somebody got shot on TV, we should be angry today. If the president or the news said that the dollar is declining, we should be in fear today. And that's how the world is ran. And that's how you have this collective mindset. But I believe that about 3% of the people that wake up every morning and yawn and they say, you know what? What do I want my reality to be today? Having a full understanding that the world is listening. So what do you want me to grant you today? Today, man, I want to be in a nice park, man. I want to be in my hometown, man, in this park that I used to visit back in the days. I want to be in some shorts and flip-flops and grounding and talking to my people. I'm not worried about what I don't have. I'm not worried about what I'll have in the future. All I'm worried about is this present moment. So I walk in that present energy. So the world has no choice but to give me that. Has no choice but to give me that. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying, man, is men need to learn how to plan. Men need to learn how to plan. Men need to learn how to go to that place and put their mind, body, and spirit in that energy. And put that mind, body, and spirit in that energy and experience it. Not just in thought, but experience it, man. That's why I love when Neville said, and this is one thing that changed my life when Neville said this, man. When Neville said, man, you got to experience this thing from the first person point of view. And I was like, yeah, I heard that, but what's next? And Neville's talking all this game, and he will come back. You have to experience it from the first point of view. Go into the silence, first person point of view. And it wasn't until I really experienced that I understood why. It's when I understood why that is the deciding factor between you just seeing yourself in another world and you experiencing another world. Going back to the scenario in A Singular Truth. I talked about that same man that had went to that house earlier, right? I talked about him being in his mind, right? I said when he's in his mind, he don't need to just see himself walking around the house. He needs to be experiencing it. He needs to be walking around the house, man, looking at, touching the pictures on the wall. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be going in the garage and sitting inside the car, man, and starting that truck up that he's always wanted. He needs to feel himself hitting the accelerator, hitting the gas on that vehicle, man. Because it's a difference. It's a difference from seeing something and feeling something. Night and day. Night and day. It's not even close. Not even close. You might see yourself. You might can see yourself getting in that new car, moving in that new crib, catching that flight to some vacation destination. But if you can feel yourself there, bro, now you're putting life force into a thing. Huh? Now you're putting God essence into your imagination. Now you're putting life force into your heaven, creating a world. Y'all ain't trying to hear what I'm talking about. Y'all ain't trying to hear what I'm talking about, man. What I'm talking about, man, is this. What I'm talking about is this. If you can think it, bro, if you can think it and you can go there, you can obtain it, man. If you can think it and you can go there, brothers, you can obtain it. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna tell you what happens. Because when I say that, the first thing you think about is 100,000 square foot mansions and Bugattis. Instantly, you like, if I can do anything, I want to do everything. But I'm gonna tell you what happened, man, or what happens. And again, it's I didn't understand this, man, back in the days when I read when Hanel said, hey, you know what? There's this power you possess. But what Hanel said is once you find this power, it's not gonna be what you think. Like initially you're gonna want to be manifesting stuff left and right. And I went through that phase. Oh, I want the certain kind of crib. I want the certain I want to be shiny. But what Hanel said is in about 5 or 10 minutes, man, maybe 5 or 10 years, you're gonna say, you know what? I'm not as in love with the things I can get. Not saying don't get them. I'm not in love with the things that I can get as much as I'm in love with the power itself. Like the things I can get, man, like that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun thing to experience, man. New cars, new homes, new people, living in new places. Like that's gonna be a blast. But my excitement really comes from my understanding of the power. You know what I'm saying? So now instead of me wearing my power, I can just walk in my power. You know what I'm saying? I can just walk around in my I am and represent more than the man with the shiny thing. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you look at the, you know, you name the big names, the Zuckerbergs and all these other guys, man, that wake up and put on black jeans and gray t-shirt every day. And you thinking, dang, why ain't he Balenci down? Why ain't he doing all these things? And it's because, man, they probably went through that phase, but now they're just in love with the power. In love with the power itself, because what comes with that power, man, is a peace that you really can't replace this peace. And when I say peace, I'm talking about a peace where you can stand still in any storm. When the news is saying a certain thing and your neighbor is saying a certain thing and your boss is saying a certain thing and your doctor is saying a certain thing and your spouse is saying a certain thing, and you're just like, I know too much to worry. I know too much to worry. In other words, what you're saying is, I'm fully aware that my thoughts, my behaviors, and my actions that I placed in my inner world created this scenario. I own it. If I know who I am, I have to own this moment. But at the same time, man, once I take ownership for this moment, all I have to do is recalibrate. All I have to do is change my recipe. All I have to do is start cooking with a few different spices. Cut back on the sugar, cut back on the Lowry's, and I'll get a whole different recipe in life. There's a peace that comes with that. There's a peace that comes with that, man, that outranks having to drive through the hot spot in something shiny. Again, not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't turn blocks and stunt. And I'm not saying that. Y'all know I'm not saying that. But y'all get what I'm saying. It's about priorities, man. Because when you put that competitive state in your mind and you're living from that space of it's just a different way of living, man. It's just a different way of living. So all I want to share with my brothers, man, today is that I'll say this. You may have had some ideas in your mind. You may have had some idea and you went through the whole 4 levels of becoming, man, and now you can say it's part of your vision, man. You gotta understand, man, that or let's just go back a few steps and say you're just in that thought process. You're in that idea phase. That thought phase where you can think about it now. You can think about it long. You really desire it. What you shouldn't do, the first thing you shouldn't do is take a move and start addressing this physical world. Okay, I want more bag. Let me try to get more hours. Let me try to go get a degree. Let me try to connect with that partner I know, man, that has the hookup down at the GM plant. Let me attack this physical world first to try to bring that thing to be. Don't do that, man. That comes in 5 more minutes. But like I said, man, if you already understood the process of obtaining that new world, you would have already had it. It would have already been a part of your truth. So the first thing you have to do is create a new truth. And in order to create a new truth, man, you got to go to that internal world and build it. You have to become a builder. You know what I'm saying? You have to become your own architect. And that world will eventually present itself, man. Y'all check out the recipe, man. Y'all check out a singular truth, bro. And I guarantee you, man, your life will never be the same, brothers.